Welcome to the Alternate History channel, where we dive into the fascinating what-ifs of history. In today's episode, we explore a pivotal moment that could have reshaped the 20th century. What if Poland had lost the Polish-Soviet War? This question opens a door to an alternate reality, where the consequences of a single battle ripple across Europe, altering the course of history. Our journey begins in the chaotic aftermath of World War I, a time when Europe was a tapestry of emerging nations and ideological struggles. The stage is set for a dramatic clash between the newly independent Poland and the Soviet Union, each driven by contrasting visions for the future. We focus on the critical Battle of Warsaw, a defining moment in our history, where Poland triumphantly halted the Soviet advance. But in our alternate scenario, we imagine a different outcome, a Soviet victory, with far-reaching effects reshaping not just Poland, but the entire European continent. In the wake of World War I, Europe was a complex mosaic of new nations and old empires in flux. Among these emerging states was Poland, reborn after over a century of partition and eager to secure its place in the world. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union, fresh from the Russian Revolution, was intent on spreading its revolutionary ideology beyond its borders. This ideological and territorial clash set the stage for the Polish-Soviet War, a conflict that would test the mettle of a nascent Poland against the ambitions of a revolutionary Russia. The war itself was a rollercoaster of advances and retreats, with neither side gaining a definitive upper hand initially. The Polish forces, buoyed by a sense of national revival, embarked on an ambitious campaign eastward, capturing Kiev in May 1920. This bold move, however, was short-lived. The Red Army, under the command of Mikhail Tukhachevsky, regrouped with renewed vigour, pushing the Polish troops back towards their heartland. The stage was set for the Battle of Warsaw, a conflict that would not only determine the fate of Poland, but also the geopolitical landscape of Europe. History records this as a momentous Polish victory, a turning point that secured the independence of Poland and stemmed the tide of Soviet expansion westward. But in our alternate scenario, we envision a different outcome. Here, the Red Army emerges victorious in the Battle of Warsaw. This triumph not only signifies the collapse of Polish resistance, but also marks the beginning of a new chapter in European history. The consequences of this victory extend far beyond the borders of Poland, signalling a shift in the balance of power and ideology across the continent. As the battle commences in August 1920, the Polish forces, under the command of Marshal Józef Piłsudski, are stretched thin, defending a front that extends over several hundred kilometers. They face the formidable Red Army, led by Mikhail Tukhachevsky, a commander known for his bold and aggressive tactics. The Soviets, buoyed by recent victories and the promise of spreading the socialist revolution to Europe, are determined and well prepared. The turning point in this alternate Battle of Warsaw occurs due to a combination of factors. Firstly, the Red Army, learning from its earlier setbacks, adapts its strategy. Instead of a direct and frontal assault on Warsaw, they implement a more sophisticated plan, focusing on encircling the city and cutting off Polish supply lines. This maneuver is supported by a relentless offensive that keeps the Polish forces disoriented and unable to form a coherent defense. Secondly, the Polish forces, expecting a repeat of earlier Soviet strategies, are caught off guard. They find themselves outflanked and outmaneuvered. The expected reinforcements from the west are delayed, and the Polish troops, already exhausted and low on resources, struggle to mount an effective resistance. The final blow comes when a key Polish defensive position, crucial to the protection of Warsaw, falls after a fierce battle. This loss breaks the Polish defensive line, allowing the Red Army to penetrate deep into Polish territory and approach the outskirts of Warsaw. As the Soviet forces encircle Warsaw, the Polish government faces an untenable situation. Despite a valiant defense, the city falls to the Soviets. This defeat is not just a military loss, but a symbolic one, shattering the morale of the Polish nation and its allies. The immediate aftermath of the battle is chaotic. The Polish government is forced to flee, and a power vacuum emerges. The Soviet victory at Warsaw paves the way for the establishment of a Soviet-controlled government in Poland. This new regime, aligned with Moscow, begins to reshape the political and social fabric of the country in accordance with Soviet principles. The ripple effects of this Soviet victory extend well beyond Poland's borders. The Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, face immediate threats to their newly gained independence. The prospect of Soviet annexation or the establishment of Soviet-aligned governments looms large, causing widespread anxiety and triggering defensive preparations. Romania, with its concerns over Bessarabia, and Czechoslovakia, with its fragile democratic setup, both find themselves in precarious positions. The balance of power in Eastern Europe is tipped decidedly in favor of the Soviet Union, compelling these nations to reassess their foreign policies and military strategies. Even Finland, to the north, regards the Soviet victory with unease, recognizing the potential for renewed Soviet interest in its territories. The political map of Europe is effectively redrawn as nations grapple with the new reality of a Soviet-dominated Eastern Europe. As we delve into the long-term implications of the Soviet victory in the Polish-Soviet War, we see a Europe and a world dramatically altered. The direct border between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union accelerates tensions, influencing Hitler's strategy and timing in his quest for expansion. His focus initially turns more towards Western Europe, seeking to fortify his position before any direct confrontation with the Soviet juggernaut. The dynamics of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact undergo significant changes. The pact, critical in the historical lead-up to World War II, is renegotiated under this new geopolitical reality. The altered terms and the direct proximity of the two powers might delay their eventual conflict, reshaping the timeline and nature of the war. In Western Europe, the rise of the Soviet Union as a dominant force leads to a re-evaluation of foreign policies. France and the United Kingdom, observing the spread of communism with growing concern, abandoned their policy of appeasement earlier. This results in stronger support for nations under the threat of Soviet expansion and possibly an alliance with Germany against the common Soviet threat. The onset of World War II is marked by different events and alliances. The absence of a Polish invasion as a clear trigger could lead to an alternative spark for the war, potentially involving German aggression in the West or a Soviet move in the Baltic region. The United States, observing the shifting alliances and the rise of the Soviet Union, might find its isolationist stance challenged earlier, leading to a more proactive role in European affairs. The global perception and spread of communism are also impacted. With the Soviet Union's influence stretching further into Europe, communism gains traction in some regions while being viewed with increased suspicion in others. This shift affects the global ideological landscape, influencing political movements and international relations across continents, from Asia to Latin America. This alternate history paints a picture of a world where the outcomes of the Polish-Soviet War have far-reaching consequences. The trajectory of World War II, the alignments of global powers, and the ideological battles of the 20th century take on new dimensions in this reality. The interplay of these events and decisions underscores the fragile nature of historical outcomes and their lasting impact on our world. As our exploration of this alternate scenario concludes, we're reminded of the profound impact a single historical event can have on the course of history. The Soviet victory at the Battle of Warsaw, a mere twist of fate in this alternate reality, reshapes not only the fate of Poland, but the entire European continent and beyond. It challenges us to reflect on the interconnectedness of historical events and their ability to shape the world in unexpected ways. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through an alternate past. We hope this episode has sparked your imagination and offered new perspectives on the intricate tapestry of history. Your thoughts and insights are invaluable to us, so please share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share as we continue to explore the captivating what-ifs of history together. Until our next adventure, stay curious and keep exploring the endless possibilities of the past.